The impossible signal. Dr. Elena Reyes stared at the simulation results on her screen, her heart pounding against her ribs. She ran the numbers again, and the outcome remained unchanged. The equations balanced perfectly. According to every calculation, the impossible was now theoretically possible. "Are you seeing this?" she whispered to Dr. Maison, who leaned over her shoulder. "I am," Mai replied, her voice equally hushed. But the council said this was mathematically impossible. Elena couldn't help the bitter laugh that escaped her. The council says a lot of things about human science. The Galactic Council had incorporated Earth into its membership nearly 30 years ago, after humans had achieved basic faster-than-light travel. But in those 3 decades, the Council's scientific bodies had consistently treated human scientists as children playing with technology they barely understood. Earth representatives were invited to council meetings as a diplomatic courtesy, nothing more. Elena had attended one such meeting 5 years ago, where she presented her initial theories on quantum resonance propulsion. The Arcturian science director had actually chuckled, a strange crystalline sound, before dismissing her work as charming but fundamentally misunderstanding basic spatial physics. The Zet Vera delegation hadn't even bothered to stay for her full presentation. Now, in an underground facility beneath the Atacama Desert, Elena and her team of 12 scientists had just proven them all wrong. "Systems check," Elena called out, turning to the rest of the lab. Dr. Sanjay Patel looked up from his station. "Power management is nominal. The resonance matrix is stable. Navigation protocols running at 100%, reported Dr. Layla Okafor from her desk. "The prototype is ready, Elena." The prototype, officially designated Quantum Resonance Vehicle 1, but nicknamed Horizon by the team, sat in the testing chamber beyond the reinforced glass. It was small, barely 15 meters long, sleek and silver, with blue accents along its hull. It didn't look revolutionary. It certainly didn't look like something that could rewrite the fundamental understanding of space travel. "Are we really doing this today?" May asked, her voice tight with excitement and anxiety. "The council monitoring stations will detect the energy signature the moment we activate it." Elena nodded firmly. "That's exactly why we're doing it now. I'm tired of asking permission to innovate." She straightened her lab coat and addressed the entire team. "Everyone to your stations. We're launching in 10 minutes. The United Earth government had funded the project in secret after Elena's humiliation at the council. While officially maintaining cordial relations with the galactic community, Earth's leadership had grown increasingly frustrated with being treated as technological infants. When Elena had approached them with her revised theories and promising early tests, they had given her everything she needed, with one condition: produce results. As the team prepared for launch, Elena thought about the physics that made the Horizon possible. While conventional FTL drives pushed against space, forcing their way through the cosmos, Elena's quantum resonance drive worked differently. It found the natural frequency of space-time itself, creating a harmonic resonance that allowed the ship to essentially phase through the barriers that limited traditional propulsion. "All systems ready," Sanjay announced. Awaiting final authorization, Elena took a deep breath. "Begin launch sequence." The Horizon's drive core began to glow with soft blue light. Readings on the monitors showed energy building within the resonance chamber, patterns forming that no drive had ever produced before. "Quantum resonance approaching critical threshold," Meg reported, her fingers dancing across her console. "Field stabilization holding at 98%. "Release docking clamps," Elena ordered. With a series of metallic clanks, the prototype vessel was freed from its restraints, now floating in the center of the chamber, suspended in a containment field. "Activating main drive in 3, 2, 1. The blue glow intensified suddenly, enveloping the entire ship. For a split second, the Horizon seemed to vibrate, its outline blurring. Then, with no sound, no dramatic flash, it simply vanished. "Signal tracking active," Layla called out, excitement making her voice rise. "The Horizon is moving. Speed calculations coming in now." She paused, rechecking her readings. That can't be right. Elena moved to Layla's station, looking over her shoulder at the velocity readings. According to their instruments, the horizon had already traveled past Mars' orbit in less than 10 seconds. It's working exactly as the simulations predicted. Elena breathed, a smile spreading across her face. Run full diagnostics. I want to know everything that's happening to that ship. As the team worked frantically to monitor the prototype's journey, none of them noticed the small alert on a secondary monitor. An alert indicating that 3 Galactic Council monitoring stations had simultaneously detected an unprecedented energy signature moving through the Sol system at impossible speeds. Senior Analyst Tarvok of the Galactic Council Monitoring Division stared at his display in growing alarm. The readings couldn't be correct. He ran the diagnostic sequence again, but the results remained unchanged. Director Zelna, he called, his four-fingered hand trembling slightly. You need to see this immediately. Director Zelna, a tall, slender Valthian with pale blue skin and elongated features, glided across the monitoring chamber with characteristic grace. She rarely needed to rush. Valthians lived for centuries and valued patience above all else. What have you found, analyst? She asked, her voice melodic but emotionless. An anomalous energy signature originating from the Sol system. Tarvok highlighted the trajectory on his screen. It's moving at, well, the velocity calculations exceed anything in our records. Director Zelma's silver eyes narrowed as she examined the data. A natural phenomenon, perhaps. No, Director. The energy pattern is clearly artificial. It's a vessel of some kind, but using propulsion technology we've never encountered. The humans. Zelna actually laughed, a light tinkling sound. Impossible. Their technological development is carefully monitored. They are centuries away from advancing beyond standard FTL drives. Even as she spoke, secondary alerts began flashing across multiple monitoring stations. The anomaly had accelerated beyond what their tracking systems could reliably measure. It's approaching the Calidus system, another analyst reported, his voice strained. That's over 20 light-years from Earth. It's been less than 5 minutes since we detected it. Director Zelma's composure finally cracked. Alert the High Council immediately. Priority Level 1. Within the hour, representatives from the 12 most advanced civilizations in the galaxy had assembled in the Council's emergency chamber. The atmosphere was tense, filled with disbelief and rising concern. High Councilor Thrax of the Arcturian Dominion, his crystalline body pulsing with agitated blue light, addressed the chamber first. The monitoring data has been verified. A vessel of apparent human origin is moving through our space at velocities that should be theoretically impossible. How have they hidden such technology from us? Demanded Representative Vorkel of the Zet Vera Imperium, his scaled skin flushing deep red with anger. We have monitored their research facilities. We have reviewed their scientific publications. There was no indication of such a breakthrough. Ambassador Chen Wei, Earth's representative to the Council, stood calmly at the center of the chamber. He had been summoned directly from his residence, with no time to contact Earth for instructions. He chose his words carefully. The Council has always assumed that human scientific understanding is primitive compared to your own, he said. Perhaps that assumption was premature. This is an outrage. Vorkel slammed his fist against the ancient stone table. For a lesser species to develop technology that surpasses the established order. Lesser species. Ambassador Chen raised an eyebrow. I wasn't aware that was the Council's official classification of humanity. High Councilor Thrax intervened before the exchange could escalate. Ambassador Chen, you must understand our concern. The established technological progression of spacefaring species has been carefully monitored for millennia. It ensures stability and safety for all civilizations, and keeps certain civilizations at the top of the hierarchy, Chen replied smoothly. Before Thrax could respond, a council aide rushed into the chamber and whispered urgently to him. The High Councilor's crystalline form pulsed with what appeared to be shock. "The vessel has been tracked to the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy," he announced, his voice resonating with disbelief. "It crossed 2.5 million light-years in under an hour." The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted over one another, some demanding immediate sanctions against Earth, others calling for a military response. The humans had just shattered not only velocity records, but the very foundation of the galactic power structure. Ambassador Chen stood silent amid the uproar, his expression unreadable. But inside, a small smile of satisfaction formed. Humanity had finally made the Council take notice. Back on Earth, Elena and her team watched their tracking data with a mixture of awe and triumph. The Horizon was performing beyond even their most optimistic projections. It had traveled farther in an hour than any human vessel had gone in the history of space exploration. "We've done it," Mai whispered, tears in her eyes. "We've actually done it." Elena nodded, her gaze fixed on the trajectory of their creation as it soared toward Andromeda. "And we're just getting started." Part 2. Changing the Balance. Captain Maya Rodriguez felt a profound sense of unreality as she gazed through the viewport of the horizon. Below her, an alien world spun slowly, its atmosphere swirling with violet and amber clouds. According to her navigation system, this planet orbited a star in the Andromeda Galaxy. She had crossed 2.5 million light-years in less than a day. "Status report," she requested, her voice steady despite the enormity of what they'd accomplished. Lieutenant James Chen checked his instruments. "All systems nominal, Captain. Quantum resonance field is stable at 97%. We could make the return journey whenever you give the word." Maya nodded, turning to Dr. Elena Reyes, who floated nearby in the small command center. The physicist hadn't stopped smiling since they'd departed Earth 20 hours ago. "We've collected enough data to keep the science team busy for years," Maya said, ready to go home and show the Council what humans can do. Elena's smile widened. "More than ready, Captain. Let's rewrite the history books." Maya strapped herself into the command chair. "Navigation. Plot a course back to Earth. Let's use the full capabilities of the drive this time." As the three-person crew prepared for the return journey, Maya reflected on the secrecy surrounding their mission. Only a handful of people on Earth knew that the Horizon carried a human crew on its first test flight. The mission had been deemed too risky for a manned mission by the Safety Oversight Committee, but Elena had insisted that human observers were essential to fully understand how the drive performed. Maya, a veteran test pilot with 10 years of experience in experimental spacecraft, had volunteered immediately. The chance to be the first human to travel to another galaxy wasn't something she could pass up. "Quantum resonance drive engaging," Lieutenant Chen announced. "Field stabilization at 100%. The familiar blue glow enveloped the ship, and Maya felt a slight tingling sensation as the Horizon slipped into its quantum resonance state. The stars outside the viewport blurred, then faded entirely as the ship entered what Elena called phase space, a dimension where normal spatial limitations didn't apply. The return journey would be even faster than their outbound trip. They were headed home to a very different galaxy than the one they'd left. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been ongoing for nearly 20 hours. Representatives argued bitterly over how to respond to the human breakthrough. Military options had been proposed and rejected, not out of concern for Earth, but because no one knew if conventional weapons could even intercept a vessel moving at such speeds. Economic sanctions seemed equally pointless. Earth was largely self-sufficient and had never been fully integrated into the galactic economy. The humans had always maintained a certain independence, which the Council had previously interpreted as technological necessity rather than deliberate strategy. The debate was interrupted when Ambassador Chen received an urgent communication from Earth. He read it quickly, then requested permission to address the Council. "High Councilors," he announced, his voice carrying through the chamber. "I've just been informed that the vessel you've been tracking, designated Horizon, has returned to Earth. Its journey to Andromeda and back was completed in under 24 hours. The silence that followed was profound. Even the most advanced Council vessels required months to travel between neighboring galaxies using their finest technology. Furthermore, Chen continued into the silence. My government has authorized me to extend an invitation. A delegation from the Council is welcome to visit Earth's Quantum Propulsion Research Facility to observe the technology firsthand. High Counselor Thrax's crystalline form pulsed with alternating colors, indicating intense internal conflict. This is unprecedented, he finally said. The Council must convene privately to discuss this development. Ambassador Chen bowed slightly. Of course, High Counselor. However, I should mention that the Horizon's journey has been documented extensively. Data packages containing visual evidence and preliminary scientific explanations are being transmitted to all Council species as we speak. The implication was clear. Earth was not asking permission to share its achievement. The information was already spreading throughout the galaxy. As Chen left the chamber, Representative Vorkal approached him, voice lowered. You humans have planned this all along, haven't you? This public demonstration, this humiliation of the Council. Chen met the Zetvera's gaze calmly. We simply grew tired of being patted on the head and told to wait a few more centuries before joining the adults' conversation. 3 days later, a delegation of the Council's most prominent scientists arrived at the Atacama facility. Dr. Elena Reyes greeted them personally, standing tall despite being physically dwarfed by most of the alien visitors. Welcome to Earth, she said, gesturing toward the horizon, now resting in its docking bay. I believe some of you may remember me from a presentation I gave 5 years ago on quantum resonance theory. The Arcturian science director's crystalline form dimmed slightly, the equivalent of an embarrassed blush. Dr. Rice, the Council's scientific division, acknowledges that we may have been hasty in our previous assessment of your work. Elena smiled. Science is all about revising our understanding when new evidence presents itself, isn't it? Now, would you like to see how the quantum resonance drive actually works? The tour of the facility was comprehensive. Elena took particular pleasure in explaining the fundamental principles that made the drive possible, principles that several Council scientists had declared fundamental misunderstandings of physics just a few years earlier. The key insight, she explained as they observed the Horizon's drive core through protective shielding, was recognizing that space-time isn't a barrier to be forced through, but a medium that can be harmonized with. Our drive doesn't fight against cosmic limitations. It aligns with the natural resonance frequency of space-time itself. But the energy requirements must be enormous, objected a Valthian physicist. Actually, quite the opposite. Elena gestured to the surprisingly compact drive system. Once resonance is achieved, the energy needed to maintain it is minimal. The universe itself does most of the work for us. As the delegation exchanged troubled glances, Elena continued, We've prepared detailed technical documentation for each of your species. As a gesture of goodwill, Earth is prepared to share the basic principles of quantum resonance technology with all Council members. All of it? Asked the Zetvera engineer, clearly suspicious. The fundamental science, yes, Elena clarified. Practical implementation details will be shared through bilateral agreements. Earth is open to partnerships with species who recognize us as equals. The message wasn't subtle. The era of humans being treated as technological inferiors was over. 2 months later, Ambassador Chen sat across from High Counselor Thrax in a private meeting chamber. The formal Council proceedings had concluded for the day, but the real negotiation was just beginning. Your proposal for restructuring the Council's technology sharing protocols is ambitious, Thrax said, his crystalline form glowing a thoughtful blue. The current system has served the established powers well, Chen replied, but it has also stifled innovation. How many other breakthroughs might have emerged if the Council had encouraged collaboration rather than hierarchy? The Arcturian Dominion has led galactic scientific development for millennia, Thrax noted, a hint of pride in his resonant voice. And accomplished remarkable things, Chen agreed. Imagine what might be possible if that brilliant Arcturian analysis was combined with human intuitive leaps, or Valthian theoretical modeling, or Zet Vera practical engineering. As equals. Thrax was silent for a long moment. Your quantum resonance technology has already begun to change things. 3 minor species have approached Earth directly for technology sharing agreements, bypassing Council protocols entirely. Chen spread his hands. We've created a more dynamic environment. The question is whether the Council will adapt to this new reality or fight against it. And if we choose to fight? Thrax asked, more curious than threatening. Chen smiled slightly. The Horizon was our first prototype, High Counselor. Our scientists are already working on the next generation of quantum resonance applications. The implication hung in the air between them. Humanity wasn't going to wait for permission to innovate any longer. I will bring your proposal before the full council tomorrow, Thrax finally said. I believe there will be significant opposition, but also growing support. As Chen left the meeting, he received a message from Earth. The second Horizon-class vessel had successfully completed its first test flight. This one was larger, designed for extended missions. The attached image showed a sleek ship, gleaming under laboratory lights, with HES Pathfinder emblazoned on its hull. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, and humanity was just getting started.